Welcome, ladies and gents, to the second episode of Sergeant CEO, where the bourbon is optional. I'm your host, Will Marcus, the owner and sole proprietor of Sergeant CEO presents Bourbon in Business. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming a good friend, somebody that's also in the D9. You got to shout out to the Reds. We love the Reds. She a young entrepreneur that's shaking the wave in a business and the way that people do administrative tasks as entrepreneurs. And I have the pleasure of speaking to none other than Miss Ajee Cook. Okay. What's up, Ajee? How you doing? Hey, all is
Thank
well
you so much for having me.
on
I'm
this Good
excited.
Friday. You
I've
doing
listened to
good, huh?
other interviews and I said, I'm honored to even be invited onto something like this.
Listen, I appreciate you. Listen, we have to give entrepreneurs their flowers while they're here and while they're alive and everything, and while you're growing into your next phase of life in entrepreneurship. So, I definitely want to have us have this conversation. But before we get started, I definitely have to give you an introduction. Let them know who you are, and then we'll have a deeper dive into some questions. Okay.
Okay.
So Ajay is originally from PG County, but relocated to Pennsylvania to earn her bachelor's in sociology from Lincoln University. She has worked in various roles in nonprofit human services industry, where she noticed the struggle business faced with daily administrative tasks. To advance her career, she pursued a master's in business administration with a concentration in the management concentration from Thomas Jefferson University. Post graduation, she faced unemployment during the 2020 pandemic. After that year, she secured a job but was let go during her probationary period. This is what led her to leverage her skills to assist business owners and entrepreneurs in their potential needs. She founded Done and Done, an operational service support for entrepreneurs and business leaders with big dreams but limited budgets. At Done and Done, their goal is to help businesses reach their full potential by assisting with administrative and operational tasks. So far, they have successfully supported dozens of entrepreneurs, enabling them to maximize their business potential. Everybody, welcome Ajay Cook. Miss Done and Done. Yeah. So Ajay, how you doing today? Everything going good?
I'm well. I'm well. Everything's good. I'm excited.
Okay, that's good. Well, we're gonna kick this off, and it's going to be real smooth. We're gonna just start off with the basics and kind of navigate through this entrepreneurial journey. Okay, so to kind of start off, give people your origin story. Like, who is Ajay? I know I just read your bio and everything, but like, what is the things, or what are the things that kind of allowed you to navigate to you now opening Done and Done and being an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So it's actually a very funny story. If you would have asked me 4 years ago would I have been an entrepreneur, I would have told you absolutely no. Absolutely no, absolutely not. Most entrepreneurs say that they had an entrepreneurial spirit. Never. At least I didn't know I did. If it was hitting, I didn't know that it was there. I never grew up wanting to be an entrepreneur or anything like it. I walked into this job that I call it, even though I'm a business owner. I say I walked into this job, just trying to utilize my skills and the things that I already had. And I said, what do I do well? What do people say about me? What are the things that I feel like I enjoy doing? And then I created a business around that. So I have always, like you said in my bio, I went to Lincoln University undergrad where I received my bachelor's in sociology. And I thought, I wanted to work in human service. I thought like I was going to be a therapist. I had so many other dreams and ideas of maybe I should be a teacher. I have early childhood education, tech ones, tech twos. Like I thought all of these great things that I wanted to do. And in the process of that, I was working for a job and I was working as a program manager. And in that job, I realized that this company is failing because they have really old policies and procedures and the structure. Like I would say the job descriptions were written and like way before I was even thought of, over 35 years ago, like way before
Yeah.
I was even thought of. And on top of the stuff being old, I realized I was supervising a program of about 63 employees. And so I remember coming home one day and saying, like, the employees, which were like the frontline staff, they were getting paid the least amount of money, but they were doing the most work, obviously. And so I came home, I took the job description, I did some overtime for free. So I took the job description and I just kind of looked at what they had that the staff were doing, and then I rewrote the job description and I outlined all the things that they were actually doing. And I came back to work. I requested a meeting with the COO of the company or the CEO. So the CEO got back to me and was like, "Hey, I would meet with you. Like, what did you want to meet about?" And so I went my director first, and I went over everything, and then I met with them, and I basically kind of said like, "Hey, these people are, y'all are paying them chump change, but y'all are paying them that because the job description is not outlining what they're actually doing. So if this is what they're really doing, and so this is why they deserve a certain amount of money." At the end of that, the next fiscal year, everyone got $2.75 raise. I always share that story when people want to know kind of how I walked into entrepreneurship, because seeds were being planted then. And I didn't even know. I didn't know. At that point, I wasn't a business owner. I didn't want to be a business owner. Didn't know I was going to be a business owner. But I say that because that kind of pushed me into the direction of saying the people that are in charge don't really know what they're doing, and they need to listen to me because I know. So I said, in order for them to listen to me, I'm going to have to go back to school. I'm going to have to get another degree because this bachelor's is not going to do it. So that's what kind of took me into the direction of saying, "Hey, I'm going to go back and get my master's in business administration," because I wanted to be like a CEO or a COO of a company. But then COVID happened, and God said, "I got other plans for you, because you will make six figures and you will be a CEO and you will be a COO and you will get to run a company, but you're not going to run one company. You're going to run multiple companies. And what you did for that one company is what you're going to do for multiple different companies." So to make a long story short, during COVID, I got laid off and I hit one of what I would say the lowest places I had ever been. Like, I had my master's, I was working, I was making pretty good money. I don't have any children, wasn't married, nothing. I said I was doing pretty well for myself. Excuse me. And during that time, what people didn't realize is that the middle working class, the single people with no kid, we got hit the hardest because it was kind of like we wasn't getting any additional help. We didn't
Systems.
qualify for food stamps. We didn't qualify for the assistance because what's wrong with you? Like, you don't have anything. Why can't you go to work? Have no disability. Nothing's wrong. Why don't you work? So we got hit really, really hard during that time. And so I got a job after not having a job for 10 months, and I had depleted my savings. I was at probably, and very transparent, I was evictions. My car was getting booted because I didn't have no money. It was the worst place I had ever been in my life. So I ended up landing a job after 10 months of no job. And when I got the job, I was working as an executive assistant to a COO. And in that role, I realized like, okay, this is kind of where I wanted to be, right? I wanted to be in the C-suite, but I wanted to be the COO. So I said, well, I'll just take a major pay cut and I'll work as the executive assistant, because ultimately the executive assistant is the person who can pretty much run the company when that person is not there, because they know the ins and the outs of every single thing that's happening in the company. So took that job, and within my 90-day probation, I got let go. When I got let go of this in this job, I remember that day like it was yesterday. It was the most devastating day of my life. When they came and told me, I looked and I said, "Are y'all crazy? I just went 10 months with no job. Do you not understand that I got about 10 months of rent that's back due?" Like, listen, somebody, I will mop the floor. Like,
I
I
ain't
don't
gonna lie.
care what happens, but I will pick up every shred from that shredder and I will put it in. Like, what do I need to do? Should I start making lunch? Like, what do I need to do to the people? Because I can't afford to lose this job, because I just went a year pretty much with no job. And I have been in one of the lowest places that I've ever been in my life. And so from there, obviously they said, "No, ma'am, no, ma'am, no ham, no turkey. It's not going to happen like that. You're going to have to pack your things and go." So I was talking to a mentor of mine, and she just said, "Well, Ajay, why don't you start to figure out some things that you do well and start as a freelancer, start outsourcing some things that you can just do to make some really quick, easy, fast cash." So I was like, okay. So I would go to networking events and I would meet other business owners, and they would say like, "Well, what are you doing?" And I would say, "Well, I'm looking for a job." But until I find a job, I just kind of do like little administrative stuff, like whatever you need. It was to a point where I was walking dogs. Like it was to the point where I could be a nanny. I would do anything and I would charge somebody, oh, that's $300. That's on my card note. Oh, I'm gonna pay my cell phone bill. Okay, that's gonna be 190. That'll take care of the Wi-Fi. I was just trying to get caught up, so I was doing whatever it took. So from there, of course, a lot of coaching, a lot of thoughts. I'm meeting a lot of different people. I said, well, what I like to do, and of course, my partner, he's an entrepreneur. He's been an entrepreneur for over 15 years, and he has thrived and owned multiple different businesses in real estate and fitness. Now he's running a media company, all kinds of things. So he just kept pressuring me, like you're very organized. Like, he's like, think about the things that people have always said about you. And it's like, you talk too much. You're very organized. Whenever somebody give you all someone has to do is give me an idea and I'm going to take it from there to there. And it's going to be a workflow. It's going to be a step-by-step process. Like, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do that. I can be very controlling. I can be very, so I had to figure out, okay, these are my gifts and I need to figure out how to use them. And so I started saying, like, I will just start offering small administrative tasks. So I created an account on Fiverr and people would just reach out to me. I would do little small things. I would do little small things. But then it started getting to a point where after going to networking events and conferences and meeting people, I would be doing little things for people. And I met a husband and wife, and they were like, hey, we have a business on Toro and we just rent our cars out. Can you keep track of when every single car needs an oil change? When do we need to do maintenance on it? Put all the receipts in one file. Like, when they're going to get picked up, where they need to get picked up from, who's getting this car, who's getting that car. So I sat down, I created a calendar, I started organizing all of their stuff for them, and they kind of started marketing for me. But remember, at this time, I didn't have a job. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
a job or a business. So I had a business, but I was running a business and I didn't know I was running a business. I was doing a bunch of stuff for people. So of course I had to go back and get everything set up. And I ended up going through a business coaching program and things like that. And I realized, like, you know what? I have to get an EIN number. I have to do this. I have to register my business with the state. I have all these different things to do because what I was doing was just looking for a job, like doing these tasks until I found a job. So I did all of these things and I realized like what I was doing was I ended up finding my job and creating my career, which was becoming an entrepreneur. And it all happened by accident. It all happened because I was just doing these little things. But as I was doing these little things, it started growing. People started learning. I ended up getting a contract with some real estate that from Keller Williams. And then I was running things for them. Then I started doing in the food industry. I landed a job. I landed a contract with a restaurant in Old City in Philadelphia where I was doing operational stuff for a restaurant. So I was like, okay, now like I have all these things happening. And then went from looking for a job, I created one.
Mm.
And then from there, we have been in business on this year, October 1st, 2025. We've been in business for 4 years. And in 4 years, we've serviced over 37 companies across the United States.
Come on now. I
So
give
when people
kudos.
ask me to answer your question, I don't know if I went off on a rant, but to answer your question, what is the backstory? Well, the story is that I just found a job doing the things that I felt were natural to me. And then I charged people to do what is, what comes easy to me, which people pay for convenience, right?
Mhm.
So it's like people don't care. I mean, I remember reading a book one time and it was a woman who she left her laptop on an airplane or something and somebody found her laptop or her phone and things like that. And I think she may have paid them like $2,000 just to get it back. And it's like for all of that, she could have just went ahead and got a new one. Like for what she paid, but people pay for convenience, like
Yeah.
people will pay for anything. And I realized, well, these are actually my gifts. These are actually my talents. Not only are these my gifts and my talents, but to just bring it all around, what I wanted to do for work was to be a CEO. What I wanted to do for work was to be a COO for another company. But then what happened was I became a CEO of my own company, and now we offer chief operating officers to multiple different companies. So what the services that I'm providing are the services that I wanted to provide from my own self in one company. So it's a real full circle moment, but never did I ever imagine being a business owner. And some days, I don't know if I can curse on here, but some days I wake up and I'm like, I don't even know who the hell I am. I don't even know this girl. When I do pitch competitions, I meet people, I have business meetings, I get invited on podcasts. I'm like, who is this girl? Who is she?
Hmm.
So that's how I got here.
Gotcha. Wow, that's amazing. That's cool. Now I do got to backtrack a little bit before I go into the next question
Okay.
because I did skip an intro because this is business and bourbon, and the bourbon is optional. I won't be drinking today. I'm
Hey,
cleaning.
you got your water?
I got
That's
me some
fine.
water.
I got my water too.
But I'd like to ask you, like, do you indulge in spirits? Like, do you have anything that you usually drink, like your go-to drink or anything like that?
For sure, for sure. I'm a dark drinker. I'm a
Okay.
people. My friends will tell me that I'm a grown man. I like cognac. Put a little hair on there, a little
Let's put
douce.
a little cognac in my, give me that yak in my cup.
Yeah, that's me. Little splash of ginger ale or on the rocks.
Okay, okay, that's good. I like that.
It's a very old school man in me. It's like
Somebody, uncle,
what grown woman in her 30s drink a glass of cognac on the rocks? Me,
somebody, uncle is just in your spirit, like just sitting right there when the liquor come out.
exactly.
It's okay. I understand. Well, it's cool that we both drinking water. There. Do you have a go-to spirit that you get usually? The bourbon and coke, or is that just what do you do?
I'll just drink a.
Say, put whatever in my cup, bartender. I ain't even tripping on
I
it. Just
usually just do like a ginger ale and cognac. Douce.
okay, okay. Ginger ale, do
I
say
don't really do. I don't know. I don't know. That's what I do. A
okay.
glass of wine.
Okay, that's fine. Respectable, respectable. We definitely gonna have to do this again and have like a powwow where we actually have the section where we have a nice drink and a nice spirit and talk. But for my viewers, that's no excuse for you. If you're sitting here watching, make sure you grab your nice little spirit, throw your little bourbon in the cup with a splash of Coke, and have you a drink or something. You know, while we finish this conversation. You gave us the origin story and how Ajee, navigated to finally setting up Done and Done. Tell me a little bit more depth about Done and Done. Like, what's the vision of Done and Done? Of course, you serve entrepreneurs, but do you have a demographic that you've seen that you serve more often? And, some of the services you provide.
Yeah, so we offer like all back office administrative and operational support. So I always tell people to think about our company. If you was to hire a subcontractor like us, a consulting firm, that you will be hiring a fractional COO. Like you will be hiring like a project manager, someone who can come in and focus on some of the small and tedious things that you have on your to-do list, as well as looking at the day-to-day operational things that you need, helping create SOPs, helping to create workflows, looking at your organization charts. We do audits on companies. We set up project management systems, CRMs. We pride ourselves on focusing on giving businesses what they need to successfully run a back office, as well as helping them actually run the back office, meaning doing some of those things that we know that they need to have and need to get completed.
Okay. Now, what has been the majority demographics that you serve? Do you have that or?
Mhm. So I would say that, well, first of all, we try to target businesses with 0 to 20 employees. Because obviously anything over that, they're probably looking to hire a full-time executive to do the kind of work that we're doing. Now, we obviously support Black and brown businesses. We are MBE certified. Everybody on our team right now are all women. That was not on purpose, but you know, that is what it is. Now, as far as the companies that we service everyone. I always tell people we don't have no type. We work
I
across
ain't got
all.
no type.
So we don't have a type because we offer a skill of organization and structure.
Hmm.
And so our main goal is to help people generate cash and allow their cash to continue to flow by having someone that they can call on to help run that back office and make sure it's set up. We work with nonprofits, we work in construction, we work with influencers. We have for profit, we do state contracts. We literally work across all industries and all demographics. We can work with startup companies. Maybe you are 19 years old and you just started, or we have CEOs and companies that has been around for 35 plus years. So they've been around for a long time. The owners are much older. They have been running this business. They kind of know what they're doing and they've been on what they're doing for a very long time. We work with all ethnicities, like everything. We work with everyone.
Okay. Okay. Nice. So I think the next question I want to ask you, with like you having that, because you just gave me like a kind of like a wide array of services and things like that, and a wide array of people you serve, which is good, but you still have an idea of who your client is, like that entrepreneur, you know. So with setting up done and done, like what has been some common like challenges and what has been some ways you've overcome those challenges? Because entrepreneurship, you know, we have to change as we go. Like even the challenge that you face today, you might not face that same challenge in 3 weeks. It might be a different challenge, a different obstacle. So what are some of the challenges you had and like how did you overcome them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, two parts to that question. The first part is that I like how you say that sometimes as entrepreneurs we're always pivoting. You know, it's always a pivot. When I first started the company, we offered finance, marketing, and operations. After
Mhm,
1 year, we only offer operations, like
mhm,
admin operations. So we dropped the marketing, we dropped the finance. So just constantly looking at the business from a business standpoint, I'm always, as the owner, as the CEO, I'm always looking at the business to figure out what do we do well, what do we enjoy doing, and what do our clients need. You know, based off the consultations that we have, our intake forms, like what are clients saying that they're struggling with? And that's most of the time management, their stress, and then executing. So I always tell everyone that we pride ourselves on time management, meaning time is of the essence, less stress, meaning it comes off your plate and onto ours, and that's why we're called done and done, and then total execution. So execution from the part where when you do come with us, you can expect for things to actually get completed. Like it will execute that list of things that you've been had will actually get done now, and you don't have to worry about that. So there's one part of that where those are the challenges of pivoting as a business owner. Now, some things on another part of this question, which I'm sure what you were asking was, what are some of the challenges that you deal with as being an entrepreneur? And that's an everyday challenge, right? Every day there's something different as far as it can be my staff relying on me, my staff
mhm,
relying on me to make decisions. Most of the time, you have 1 minute. You got 1 minute to make a decision that can make the business go up, make it go down, or make it stay the same. So, really being able to think through decisions when I have to make them, that's a huge challenge. Another challenge I would say that I have is sometimes I have imposter syndrome.
mhm,
Sometimes I do a lot of pitch competitions. I go to a lot of conferences. I sit in a lot of rooms with other CEOs that can be a sister like me, or that cannot be, or it can be different range. I find myself oftentimes when I go to CEO conferences specifically, is that I'm usually the only woman in the room. I'm usually the only black person in the room, or I'm always the youngest in the room. And so sometimes as an entrepreneur, I have, you know, imposter syndrome, especially when I'm the youngest, because I always feel like a lot of these companies that are in there, they've been in business for years, or,
mhm,
they 50 years old or 60-year-old, even a black woman or a white woman or a white man or a black man, but they're older. So when I come in, it's kind of like, well, how much experience do you have? Because you ain't really been around that long. I always feel like that's a huge challenge for me because I always have to remind myself, like, you are a CEO, right? Like the business is in your name, right? Like like I always have to just bring myself back to that. Like I'm here for a reason. This is actually my calling. I have to always think back to what I just shared here. Well, I never wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I am one. And I am one because I found the skills that I had. So I always have to like go back and have these conversations with myself. Like, this is not, this is no story of that's made up. Like, no, 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 babe, you're here, Stink. Like you're
mhm.
here, girly, for a reason. And you need to own that because if you don't have that level of confidence when you walk into those rooms, then people won't have confidence that you'll know what you're doing in the job that you're doing. So one of the biggest challenges, like I said, is accepting, like, knowing that I'm here, it's real. You know what I mean? Like I'm living in my imagination, but it is real. This is really happening. You do work for yourself, and you do sign the contracts. You get what I'm saying? And you are responsible for other people's pay, the staff, my staff. So I would say that's one challenge. Another one, and I promise I'm not gonna say no more because I can go on and on. But dealing with the different industries because we work in different industries. So our nonprofit clients look different. Every client is different. So some clients really are sticklers for certain things. Like, hey, because we're doing admin. It's like, well, what are you guys doing all day? Like, are you guys doing admin all day? And it's like, Do you have admin for us to do all that? Like, we're supposed to make this easier for you. So I would say, like, sometimes just every business is different. Every business is ran different. Every owner, every team looks different. So just constantly never going in thinking that I know more, and just coming in and really understanding, like, where are they? Because oftentimes business owners know that they need help, but they just don't know where to start. They're like, I know this is a mess, but, like, can you help me get out of this mess that I don't know how to explain to you that is a mess, but it is a mess and I know it's a mess? So
Mm,
just kind of trying to meet them where they are.
mm,
And sometimes that can be challenging because we got to dig deep. And sometimes we have to tell them that they're doing things incorrectly. And when you're dealing with a business, especially our smaller businesses, a lot of the larger businesses, they pay us to come in and do that. But a lot of small businesses, like, I'm coming to you and I'm telling you, hey, this what you're doing is bad and you don't need to do it like that. And it's like, but I've been doing this all this time. So how you gonna come here and say that I need to change this system? And it's like, because you want to make it a little bit more efficient. You don't have to do it like that. We can set up an automation. So
mm.
that's my answer to that.
Oh, those a few challenges. I definitely can attest to them and I understand them. I'm not in this same role anymore, but when I was a photographer, videographer, doing media stuff, I can understand like those same questions and how they arise from the client. At the end of the day, you're trying to just make sure your client, is satisfied.
Hmm.
I think one of the big things that I want to ask you, first of all, before I even ask you this question, I just put two together with the name Done and Done. It's like, when people give you assignments, you be like, done, done, like checking off like
Yeah.
done and done. And I'm like, duh, like, well, it's smart. I like that play on words, how you use it. So done and done is really dope. But going back to the clients and the challenges and how you overcome them, like, what are some kind of things that you've learned because you do automation and stuff like that? What are some things that you've learned with serving clients? Because ultimately, like, we want to make sure that those clients are satisfied. So, what are some things that you've incorporated being an entrepreneur and you've like used and put into like some of your SOPs or things of that sort to make sure that the clients are satisfied?
So are you asking what are some of the things that I've learned about the struggles that the clients were having?
No, I'm talking about like you're a service business, so you provide a
Yeah.
service. So, what are some things that you've seen, like that you've almost become SOP or like standard guidelines and operations? Like this is what I have to do to make sure I get this project complete to the clients, like to make sure
Mhm,
they're happy, to make sure everything goes good and copacetic. Just in the service industry.
mhm. So I would say that some things that we have had to do is, I don't know if I'm answering this right, but we have to create workflows.
Okay.
So we have to have systems in place so that we can help our clients. Like, our stuff have to be lined up in order for us to be successful with helping them with theirs. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that's no, you're there. So workflows are
Okay. So
definitely.
yeah, like, we have to have a step-by-step process. And this has happened with us with clients. Like, it's been our process is like, okay, fill out this form. Then after you fill out this form, we'll contact you. And then once we contact you, then a consultation. Then after the consultation, we send a proposal. Then after the proposal, we send a contract. Then after the contract, the invoice. Then after the invoice, we have 1 week of onboarding. And then after the onboarding, then we do this. So our clients, we put them through a process that they don't have. You get what I'm saying? And so from a service level, it's like, if you come to me as a client and you don't have an actual step-by-step workflow, you get what I'm saying? So when you experience that with us, they say, it's like, we've had clients that say, remember how when we first started, you had gave me that form? And I'm like, yeah, you need one of them forms. Yeah, you need those same systems. Everything that we already do is what we want you to do, because that's why you enjoy the experience that we have, and we want your customers to have that same experience with you and your brand and you and your company. So I hope I answered that right.
No, I did because, and I was pretty much alluding to it without saying it, and I was hoping that you hit on workflows because I think workflows it's one thing that a lot of beginning entrepreneurs or beginning businesses tend to miss out on. So, like how you just brought up that you like your client be like, that document you sent me, you be like, yeah, like,
Mhm.
and now you like you need that. So, like, I wanted you to kind of just talk about workflows and see if that was going to be a way that you were going to like bring it up, but I didn't want to say workflows and stuff like that. So with automation and stuff like that, like I think I want to ask you, like workflows and automation, how essential is that to like having those workflows and automations plugged into your business? Like, or what are some tools that people usually that you use or you'll give to clients? Not to get no free plugs or nothing, nobody,
Yeah, for
or
sure.
to
We
no
use
businesses and
everything.
stuff. But like, but just on a high level, like how important are them? How important are they? And then like, what are some things that you usually suggest?
So I can give some. These are and this is free game. I always give free game. So I'm not one that gatekeeps.
Come on,
Like
free games, say free game, baby.
I'm not one to gatekeep at all. So I'm always going to just say, so on an automation level, obviously automations are taken away from man time. So it's all those things that you can use to manually be able to do, the system can just do it for you. So that way you don't even have to worry yourself, stress yourself out about making sure. One small thing can just be emails. Like automated emails is so important and people just don't understand. You can schedule emails to go out, and that is easier. So when you sit down and you know that there's a reoccurring task that needs to happen, go ahead and schedule it to happen on that time. So that way it's scheduled. It happens on Tuesday at 8 o'clock. You don't at 8 o'clock, you don't have to be rushing to the computer to send out this email to such and such amount of people. For an example, like if you have a consultation, go ahead and have your email set up. So after the consultation, it's a client relationship. It automatically sends an email 30 minutes after the consultation was complete saying thank you so much for speaking. We loved and we enjoyed speaking with you today. As a client, I see that and it's like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, I'm happy that they even acknowledged me and they appreciated, the conversation that we had. Just letting them know, reassuring them that they are of value to you just as you are to them. So that's one way of automation, just one free game, emails. Schedule your emails to go out. Make sure that you're giving your clients the best that you can give them strictly by just automating something, integrating your systems, making sure that all your systems on your end are working together. So if you do have a CRM, it's a link to your calendar. Oftentimes, it's small things. Large companies, small businesses, they miss meetings
Mm.
because their calendars aren't linked. All their calendars are not linked and synced together. So integrate all of your systems. Put your CRMs here. Put your this there. Create what your list is. Create what your list of things are, and then hold yourself to them.
Okay. Now
Hold yourself.
let me add another layer onto that because it's a big debate with artificial intelligence, AI, and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Has done and done figured out a way to incorporate AI into those systems, or like what's your view and stand upon that?
So I love AI. I love AI. I love Chat GPT. I love everything. The only thing is that people have to know how to use it.
Mm,
It's AI. It's not you don't just tell it, hey, write me a paragraph about soda. It's like you have to train this thing to be like you. So you have to feed it information so it can learn to think like how you think. It can use words. And the more you use it, the more it understands who you are. So then you can actually ask it questions so that it can just shoot you back stuff. But I love AI. It's much easier. It's much faster. It's another thing that takes away from man time. You get what I'm saying? Instead of you taking what way of taking you 2 hours to write this email, figure out how to put it together, you can put this into AI and it will shoot back to you. It'll help you brainstorm. I know like content creators, sometimes they get, or writers, they get writer block. They, different things that stop them from being able to think. You can just put these things in. Give me some ideas about X, Y, and Z. Like I'm trying, it helps you think better. So I absolutely think that AI has been around. Automations have been around. Integrations has been around. Even when you think about you use your debit card. Have you ever went out to eat, use your debit card, and then they say, oh, they got to refund it back onto you. You don't have to do anything. That's AI. You don't have to do anything. They say, oh, don't worry about it. It'll just go back onto your card. Once the system sees what happened, it'll just fix itself.
mhm,
It's easy. It's done. One day when you get back from the weekend after you didn't swipe their card and they refunded you and they didn't mess your food up, it's just back on there and it's nothing you have to do. It's seamless. All you have to do is make sure that it goes back on there. And that's AI. And AI has been living around. People just haven't been using it or know that it exists. So now people are getting just more aware of it. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And when it comes down to operations and administration, everybody should start to figure out how to use it because that's just the way the world is moving, technology.
mm. Come on, done and done. I'm gonna put some extra acronyms on there because you're giving away all this free game. It's done, done, and game. You feel me? Like DDG or something. I don't know what it is, but hey, that's some great information. I will agree. Like AI is definitely like reshaping how people can do business and work. And, almost used as like a think tank. AI is a good administrator in the sense of like I don't know what to think. I can't think. Like it's a creative, like almost sense of like administrator where it's like it can help you like just brain dump and think of things. So I definitely agree with you. So let's hop in the time machine real quick, right? We going back to 10 years. So this is about what we in 2025 now. So it's about 2015. We get to see Ajee from 2015. Give yourself some free game and guidance. What you gonna say?
Think in 2015.
Or if not 2015, just younger you. Just think of
Yeah,
you.
I would say 2015. I would say I was probably in college, so I was figuring out then. I was kind of stepping into this, but I would just say for my younger self that success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. And so what that means is that I used to measure my success on how many things I had. Like I used to measure my happiness on how successful I was. But
Mm,
it wasn't until I started done and done, which is when I hit rock bottom and I realized that like I didn't have to have any of what I thought was success. So yeah, I got my degrees hanging up. Yeah, I got this, I got that, I got this. But my happiness wasn't measured on that. When I had nothing and I created this business, I was the most happiest, I was the most content. I always tell people that I used to think like I needed to have $2 million in my bank account and I was gonna feel like I was all that. And it's like I don't even measure success like that anymore. Like success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. Like when I became happy is when I became successful. That's when I was the most content with everything that I was doing. So the best advice that I would give myself is that, you don't have to have all of these things. You don't have to have $1 million, but that would be nice. You don't have to have, no matter all of those things that you have doesn't create how happy you are. It doesn't create how far you go. It doesn't, you create that. You figure out everything that you need already lives inside of you. So you identify what those things are, and then you create your life around that. And then you will be happy. You will be content. And once you become happy, then you'll be successful.
come on now. You giving out some good wisdom. You wise for your age right now. That's good. So let's take a switch, right? So, mental, physical, spiritual health, all those things are things that play into a successful entrepreneur. And it's like you gotta have those pillars for you to be able to be authentically you and actually show up for your business and then now the people that's working inside your business. So like what are some things that you typically do to like unplug from work, rejuvenate, whether it's spiritual health, physical health, stuff like that.
Can you hear that?
Yes, but I don't know if it's picking up on there, but it probably is. But yeah,
You forgot to turn it off. Sorry.
it's okay.
So what do I do? Well, for one, I will be very transparent to say that I am still in early stages of being a business owner. So I am still trying to identify what work-life balance looks like.
Hmm.
Um, I'm still trying to figure out like how do you balance it? And I say that because how I said my job I is what I love to do and what I do naturally. It's hard to detach from that, because it's like I'm just doing that. Like I'm here, right? This is work, right? I'm working. I'm talking about my business. I'm on a podcast. I'm doing it, but it's so natural to me that on a evening like this, I could be doing anything. You get what I'm saying? Like, why am I not off? But I chose this time. So when you talk about work life balance and what do I do, to really answer that question, I just try to be present in the moment. So when I'm working, I just be present with work. And when I'm spending time with my family, I'm spending time with my friends, I try to put my phone down and focus on what I'm doing at that time. Some other things that I do is like I get massages. I love massages. I faithfully get a nice rub down.
Hmm.
I personally, I love taking baths. I love jacuzzis.
Hmm.
I literally love jacuzzis. I love baths. Like anything in the water, I can just get in the water. I
And
would
just
be in the
chill
water.
out.
It's literally the most. I don't understand how people don't like the water. It's the most relaxing thing in the world.
Hmm.
So I do that. I go to the gym. Like I'm up. I usually get up, get an early session in every morning, cardio, strength training. So I try to find little things that allows me to just focus on me, things that help me better me. I like to cook. I don't cook that well. I'm a new cook, but my last name is Cook too. That's crazy. They don't call me Cook for nothing. But I'm
Okay,
learning how
okay,
to cook. So
okay. That's funny, but that's good. Food is always, it's a love language, so it's definitely going. Is it? But like relaxation is definitely good for that like reset. So, along with reset, I'm gonna ask you this other question. We have about two more questions, and I got to put you in the entrepreneur hot seat, which is a game I let to play with all my hosts. So
okay.
I got some questions for you. So, running a business often teaches you things like you never expected. What's one personal transformation or mindset shift you've experienced since becoming an entrepreneur? You know, me run it back. I'll give it to you one more time. I'm gonna let you think about why I asked the question. So, running a business often teaches you things you never expected. What's one personal transformation or mindset shift you've experienced since becoming an entrepreneur?
I would say that one mindset shift would be anything is possible. Anything. Anything that I can think about, anything I can dream about, anything I can imagine, it can happen. And I feel like being an entrepreneur taught me that in my personal life, but then also in my business and for even having my business. So, like I said earlier, sometimes I wake up and I think to myself, who the hell am I? Because sometimes I feel like I'm living in my imagination because I couldn't even imagine this. I couldn't have imagined like girl, you are like every day you just wake up and you just work for yourself. Like, are you sure? Like, are you serious? So I would say truly, just it can happen. Anything that you want, anything that you think is possible. And on a personal standpoint, like I'll share. I remember when I was living in my one bedroom apartment and I was thinking to myself, like, will I ever get a house? Like, would I ever move out of here? Like, can I get that? But a part of this entrepreneurship journey, because I started this business sitting in my one bedroom apartment in a hallway. And now I have 3-story house. Like, and now I'm in my office. This place is big. So it's like being an entrepreneur gave me that thing where it's like, it's nothing I can't do. I just do it. You just do it. You just think it, you feel it, you breathe it, and then you make it happen. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow, that was a good one. That's definitely good. I mean, anything is possible. I think, like spiritually, you got to speak things to existence. Like
Sure.
with faith and everything, it teaches us that through the Bible and whatnot. Like you have to speak these things to existence, and then you have to put forth the work to make sure those things come into existence. So just having a combination of those two things is what kind of brings this together and actually brings that dream into the real world. And it's like, nah, it's not just a dream. It's not in my head and everybody just think I'm crazy. It's actually
Yes.
something that I'm doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's amazing. So our last question before we jump into the game, and I'm gonna give you some time to think about this one. But what's one mistake you made early in your business that turned out to be a blessing in disguise? So nice honest
You
slip up.
say one mistake that I made in my business is say it's a few things, unfortunately. I would say make one mistake that I made because we do service based, because we're service based, I would say making a mistake. So what I'm saying is that I remember making a mistake on something that a client paid me to do right.
Hmm.
I remember them feeling like I paid you to do this the right way, and you did it wrong. And so what I learned from that was the good thing is that to one give myself grace, right? That yes, they paid me to do this, but yes, I am a human, and yes, I've only been in business for a few months, so I am still very much so learning. But what I learned from that was that one, everybody's not your client. Everybody's not your client. And so I say that because my clients understand that I am a being and that I am a person and that I'm allowed to make mistakes. And even though they're paying me not to make mistakes, I am still a person. And I remember beating myself up really bad about it, like, oh God, oh God. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we just out here making a bunch of mistakes because yes, people pay us to put things together. But it just made me realize that there's a certain type of client that we want because they're going to have a certain level of respect for us to know that, it is okay and that we are human beings and that we're allowed to make mistakes because we are people. Just because we have this service and we're supposed to do all these things correct and we're going to do it, we will do those things, but we're people too.
Hmm.
So that's what I'm saying.
That's a good way to put it. I like that. That's very a very humble, modest way to look at it because making a mistake is like I done made a mistake.
Yeah.
I don't know, but then it's like your understanding to where you're like, I have all these things on me to where it's like I'm expected to produce a certain amount of work for you, and I know what that I want that work to look like. You know what you want that work to look like, but I feel short, and I feel like I didn't drop the ball. So I
Mhm.
definitely understand that. So yeah, that's cool. Now it's time for you to tie your shoes up. I don't know if you did any type of sports or anything, but you got to tie your shoes up, put your hat on, get locked in the game. It's time for us to play Entrepreneur House Seat. You ready?
Ready.
All right.
God.
She said,
That,
all right, I'm going to ask you a question again. So, it's time to lace up your shoes. Get ready for the Entrepreneur Hot Seat. I'm about to give you a few questions. We got 5 questions. 5 questions. Got to answer rapid, okay? So, question number 1. If you had to describe your business philosophy in 3 words, what would they be?
integrity, execution, get things done.
What?
This is
You
not a
almost
fun
had
game.
it. You almost had it. You almost had it. So you said integrity. You said integrity.
Yeah, same thing. I said the same thing 3 times.
I know integrity and get things done. The last one was 3 words by itself. Get things done. Oh my! You just.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. You didn't tell me this was on there.
I don't get to tell you. You listen. You don't get
Oh
this.
my
This is
God.
the fun part. It got to be authentic. You feel me? All right.
Oh,
So you said. I'm gonna ask you this one more time. We're gonna start it over one more time. I'm gonna cut this out. We're gonna start over. Okay. Okay. You ready?
no.
It's all right. All we gotta do is get past the first one. The first one is the only one that got you thinking deep like this. Okay. All right. So Ajay, strap up your shoes, put your thinking cap on, get ready. You're in the entrepreneur hot seat.
Mhm.
Question number 1. If you had to describe your business philosophy in 3 words, 3 words only, what would they be?
Say it would be diverse. I would say influence
Hmm.
and critical thinking.
Diverse influence. I get critical thinking. It's a hyphenated word. I get it to you. Okay. We'll let you slide with that one. That good, good. Okay. So if you could have dinner with any entrepreneur, dead or alive, who would it be and why? Don't say Jay-Z. The sir came on here last episode and said that. So you gotta pick somebody else.
I would say Michelle Obama.
Michelle
Love,
Obama.
love her.
Yeah, she's definitely doing it big. Post living in like the White House and everything. So she's definitely a good entrepreneur. I wouldn't even I wouldn't have thought about her, but she's definitely shaking up things. So that's a good one. I'm gonna have to add that. Have you read her book Becoming? Isn't that what it's called?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I read everything and watch everything she's on.
Okay. What's they call it for Beyonce, the Beehive? You know, like the Michelle Hive or whatever.
Pretty much.
I feel that. All right. So question number 3. What's one mistake that taught you a valuable business lesson?
Everybody's not a customer.
Okay. Okay. That's a good one. You got to know your market. You got to know your customer. You got to know your clientele. So definitely. Number 4, if you had to start a new business today, what industry would you choose?
It's a hard one. Can I say that if I could do anything else today, what profession I would have?
Yeah,
Or have
same
to be a
thing.
business?
Business,
Okay, I would be an ear doctor.
an ear doctor. Why an ear doctor?
I thought it was rapid. I gotta explain.
No, I got to ask this one now. This one is good. I got to ask this one. This is me asking, and you can give a little explanation. I just need to understand do you have like a fascination with ears, or is it just a thought that like I'm trying to figure that out.
I love I love ears.
Okay, that,
Oh my gosh.
that's a,
I know you're not gonna cut this out either. I love ears.
I'm definitely not cutting stop.
I like the science behind it. That
Okay.
sounds ridiculously crazy. But the anatomy behind an eardrum, how you actually can see it if you pull your ear a certain way, like I just think like, wow, people can really hear.
Hmm.
So I would like to, if I had to pick, if I could go back and say what would my profession be, I would go to school again and I would be, yeah, I'd
You'll
be
be an
a,
ear doctor. You'll be an ear doctor, have your own practice, studying
yeah,
your ears and
yeah.
looking inside
Looking
us.
inside of them. I think it's a, I've never really shared this with a lot of people. So you
You
have
just
it.
shared it with the world now.
I know. I'm
You weren't
okay.
hiding your secret from the world. You was hiding the world from your secret. Now they
Yeah.
know. Now they know. It's okay. Okay. So last question. What's one book, podcast, or resource every entrepreneur should check out?
Say, I'm going to say there's a lot of them. But one of our current clients, her name is Lauren LaRosa, and she just started her podcast on iHeartRadio. And I think that you should follow her. I actually have her merch on today. It's Brown Girl Grinding.
Okay.
I think you should follow her across all platforms, Lauren LaRosa at Brown Girl Grinding. You should follow her podcast because she's always giving information about her journey in entrepreneurship from when she started very small to how she got onto the big screens. And I think that everyone should watch something like that outside of my Michelle Obama stuff. Like everybody just follow her stuff. But I would like to plug that in there because that she's very influential to me and a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs who are.
Okay. That's good. All right. So before we sign off and sign out, I need you to give one piece of wisdom to some up and coming entrepreneurs and tell them where they can find you.
Okay. The wisdom that I would give is to find something that you love to do, find something that you do well, and make money doing that. And you can find me at Chief Get It Done Officer across all platforms, Instagram, YouTube, on LinkedIn, we're done and done. Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Well, y'all heard where to find Miss Ajee Cook with Done and Done. Make sure you go get you some administrative services done if you need them. It's been a pleasure rapping with you and talking on business and bourbon. Well, I guess we call this episode strictly business, huh? Because I didn't have no bourbon. I'm over here drinking my Essentia. You got your water too, but it's been a pleasure. I'm Will Marcus. I'm your host with the most. Thank you for joining in for another episode of Business and Bourbon, where we talk about business and entrepreneur feats. So we love it here. We love you. We thank you. And make sure you tune in for the next episode. Peace.